The NAR Settlement. It came out March 15th, 2024. Some of you have no idea what it is, and the rest of us pretend like we do. I'm with you, I understand. So I'm not here to break it down bit by bit and act like I know everything about it. I'm just here to shed some light on the perspective of a fellow realtor. NAR announced a settlement agreement in March of 2024 in response to a slew of lawsuits that swept the country regarding sellers feeling that NAR fixed commission prices and that they were non-negotiable. But that's just not the case. Let's take this way back to World War II, all right? Bet you didn't think I was gonna go there. World War II, the United States emerged victoriously as the richest, most powerful nation in the world. The federal government at that point decided that everyone should own a home, thus creating the American dream. The federal government decided to start backing loans. So death to the small community loans or the rich aunt that deeded you her inheritance. Now the federal government said, you're 22, you were in the military, you have $1, here's a loan. You're 25, you have this income, show it to us, and you only have to come in with 3.5% to 5% down. Thus, the real estate agent was born. We were created to help represent the American public in their pursuit of real estate homeownership. Did you know the multiple listing service, or the MLS, has been in existence since the late 1880s? The MLS is the greatest database on planet Earth, and it's also quickly becoming the worst. The public is feeling as though it is a God-given right. And guess who is responsible for providing all of that content? Licensed real estate professionals. We are in and out of these houses, communicating with homeowners, collecting all of the facts from the quality of the flooring to the number of bedrooms to the age of the home. We are verifying all of those facts, entering them into a database, and giving them away for free. So we pay our dues, we take our continuing education classes, we make sure that we're up to date on all of the latest knowledge and trends so that the American public can have access to the American dream. Owning a home is one of the greatest things we can do to build wealth. Why are we the problem? Information is everything. Knowledge is power. And the powers that be don't want us to know everything. They want to control everything. But that's a topic for another day. Call me a conspiracy theorist, it would be one of my proudest moments. Realtors take the wool off of people's eyes and show them the way to generational wealth. Sometimes buying and selling real estate is really easy, and sometimes it's a nightmare. Either way, you are hiring a licensed professional to protect your best interest. And the feds are trying to make that a lot more difficult for you. Why? Again, conspiracy theories aside, we're sticking to the facts here. It's their game. It's their money. The federal government is backing all of these loans. So they are going to keep a watchful eye on everything it is that we do as professionals and what you do as consumers. Remember, the government started backing loans to create the American dream after the war. So they watch us very closely. When I first started my career in real estate in 2009, it was flooded with bank-owned properties. There were foreclosures left and right. The feds were controlling the pace of the REO industry at that time. And guess what? They required a minimum 5% commission. Does that sound familiar? It's all their money. We will never be away from the federal government in this game of real estate. They started this idea. Every 10 years or so, the federal government comes at NAR for something. They'll change the rules, they'll make sure that whoever stays in the game is capable of adapting and overcoming. It will be for various reasons. We had the Clear Cooperation law, and now there's this. We will experience new rules and regulations for as long as we hold our professional licenses. That's the pay to play. You'll adapt, we'll overcome. I'm talking to you as realtors now. Most federal stuff is on this class action level. Civil rights and unemployment law, that's handled more on a case-by-case individual basis. In this lawsuit, we are up against the tobacco rich. These guys sued the Marlboro Man and won. So just remember that. The money that's flying around in this is insane. Again, remember, we're talking the tobacco rich that's coming for us. So these numbers are huge. There is so much money in real estate. The headlines over the course of the next year are going to be sensational, and not in the best way. So just pay attention to the facts here. The lawsuit is now taking an interesting turn. NAR's settlement is the most important thing that will affect our business. It's all focused on asking NAR, how will you change your ways? The irony is, these ways were already in place. Commissions have always been negotiable. Homeowners always had the right to negotiate their commission. Brokerages always had the right to negotiate what their fees were. We have not been able to price fix or use the word standard in commissions. I mean, since before I got my license. I can't tell you the exact date because, again, this is not me giving you every single fact. This is just a perspective of one realtor throughout this entire situation. We are part of a private trade organization, NAR, and they have rules. When the rule change comes into play, anticipating late July, early August, we'll adapt, we'll overcome, we'll move forward. They're going to ask buyers to sign buyer-broker agreements no matter what. So we will go down a path in changing the way that we do real estate. From what I understand right now, the case is wide open still. The court has not approved it or confirmed a judgment at this time. The court did do a noble thing this week and say that it will not enter the judgment because the case, or the jury's verdict, because the case is too convoluted and confusing. It's not making streamlined sense, so they're just pausing, recollecting themselves, and we'll make an announcement shortly. All we can do is wait, read the headlines, but also do our research. The plaintiffs would love to see it come to an end so they can get paid. The basic outcome from what I understand is this. Number one, sellers can pay a commission to a buyer's agent. Nothing has changed there. They have the ability to pay that even if it's zero. Number two, you can no longer advertise on MLS the percentage that you're offering. This one is a little unclear to me, honestly. Consumers are beginning to feel that they can buy and sell real estate on their own just because all of the information is out there. But remember where the information comes from, realtors. So you don't go to Albertsons and say you don't need a farmer because that's where you get your asparagus. It all comes from somewhere. And third, every single buyer will have to sign a buyer-broker agreement. This is the part that really concerns me as a representative of the public. The buyer-broker agreement will be required to establish a maximum pay that will be given to that agent when you represent that client on a purchase, period. You cannot show a house before you have an agreed-upon fee. If the fee is changed based on what the seller offers, you'll have to sign a new agreement. It's a lot of paperwork, it's a lot of headache. And what does it ultimately do? It requires that a buyer broker is paid. But aren't we supposed to protect the public in their search for a home? That's just me. Here's what happens. A buyer now has to come up with a down payment, closing costs, potentially maybe a gap in the appraisal if it comes in low, and the commissions to their agent. So what they're trying to prevent, and what they tried to prevent 30 plus years ago, is steering buyers towards certain neighborhoods, racial profiling, things like that. It's going to come back. The way it's going to come back is buyers are going to ask their agents, is that seller offering a co-op fee? Oh, yes, they are, 3%. Perfect. I want to see that house. That means the buyer doesn't have to come out of pocket on that house. Is that one offering a co-op fee? No, that's 0. Okay, I'm not going to see that house. I don't want to come out of pocket 3%. Do you see what I mean? It's creating the problem that they got rid of decades ago. For a while, it'll be a little topsy-turvy while things settle in and agents understand what makes the most sense and consumers understand what's in their best interest. For now, it's all speculation. So all we can do is keep having the conversations, keep asking the questions, and as realtors, keep representing your clients to the best of your ability. There are cases, too, that exist now with a buyer-broker agreement. The buyer-broker agreement is not new. If you have a buyer-broker agreement at 3% with your buyer's agent, they're committed to helping you buy a home, you're committing to close a home with them. Let's say the seller is only offering 2%. The buyer is now obligated to come up with that 1% difference if the buyer's broker pursues it. They do have the opportunity to say, it's okay, I'm fine with 2%, but they legally are obligated to pay that gap 1%. I don't see this benefiting the consumer at all. In fact, it's limiting access to home ownership by causing down payment money and closing cost money and inspection money and furniture money and utility money to go toward the commission for their legal representation that's always been paid for out of the net proceeds from the seller. I wouldn't be surprised if we came full circle on this and in 10 years or so said, hey, I have an idea. What if we offer a co-op on the listings to the buyer broker and we take it out of the net proceeds from the sale and we advertise it on the MLS so there's full transparency and everybody knows. It's kind of a joke because that's like, what? It's kind of a joke. From where I sit as a licensed real estate broker, it's going to be a lot of noise and a lot of stress and a lot of what ifs until the dust settles. Once it settles and NAR announces their rules, the professionals will adapt, overcome, and continue to represent their clients at the highest level of service. I don't pay attention to the case in terms of how it affects my specific brokerage or other brokerages. It's either going to be settled for a lot of money or a little money. The rules change, the markets change, technology changes. We went from fax machines to DocuSign. We went from pocket listings to clear cooperation. This isn't an industry that lacks fluctuation. It's not meant to be rigid. We evolve and sell real estate. No one in their right mind says no to owning real estate. The headlines are going to go nuts, but it's going to be white noise to the professionals that know what they're doing. Ultimately, it's tragic as it's creating a steering machine. Buyers are going to steer us toward homes that are offering a co-op so they don't have to come out of pocket, or they're going to choose to go with an agent who's willing to work for free and you get what you pay for. And the lack of representation can cause a lot of legal headache in the future. It's exposing people to a lot of risk, and unfortunately, it is what it is. Commission, historically, legally, could not interfere with the buyer or seller's ability to buy or sell real estate. It's not in the contract between the buyer and seller. It's agreed upon between the buyer and their agent and the seller and their agent. With this suit, it is now becoming part of a contract. I can see that happening, where on page 1, the commission is spelled out because someone's responsible for it. And remember, our role is to provide knowledge and to give power to the American people so that they can purchase a home. There's a cost for professionalism and expertise and experience and a network. Some people will understand it. They will gladly pay for it. Most people will say it's a no-brainer. That's the cost of selling my house. Some won't see it. Either way, we'll get past the semantics of it. Real estate can be easy to transact and it can be tumultuous. At the end of every day, it's the end of the day. You want protection or you want high risk. Both come at a cost, and it's up to the consumer to decide. If you aren't feeling great as a realtor that can provide high value to their clients, then as our legal counsel, Darren Welsh, has been quoted saying, it's a great time to marry up and get out of the business. So while, full disclaimer, this was not a comprehensive look at all the ins and outs of this lawsuit that's happening or the settlement that's occurring, I'm super passionate about real estate. I'm passionate about helping people. And if after watching this you have questions or you want to get into a discussion about it, I am happy to connect. Send me a message below or contact me through my website and we can chat.